Hang out. Okay, I guess we're live. So here we are. I guess it's just me and Colin today on the Skyrim Addict. Michael is on vacation.
Introduce me. Do it
Hey,
properly.
Colin.
Hey,
How are
Victor.
you?
I'm good.
So we're
Are
just
you
hanging out
enjoying?
on Easter Sunday in the afternoon, and having done our due diligence with religion and families, etc. And so now back to Skyrim, right?
Yes. Our religion.
Yeah, sort of. Yes, yeah. I've been praying a lot to Kinnereth lately, although that didn't work out so well for me with yesterday, which I will explain later. Oh God. So Colin and I have been playing with lots of overhauls lately, and so why did you go back to Skyrim, Colin, after all the Fallout 4 we were playing?
It was. I think I mentioned it on the last one with Mike. Or was it in my feedback? I can't remember which.
I think it was
I
a
was.
feedback. Yeah.
I was looking for a new name for my character for the Fallout Roundtable, and there's a couple of anime I watched, and there's a couple of two different from two completely different animes, a protagonist in each, and I just took both their names, the surname from one and the first name from the other one, and put them together and made that the name of my character.
That's really cool. I like that.
So I was trying to make sure that I was going to spell the name correctly. Not that it matters, but it matters to me. I wanted to spell it correct.
Yeah, it's fiction after all, but it is important.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. So I checked on the spelling, and his name, his given name, is Ryuji, and it comes from a really old Japanese word, a name called Ryujin. And it turns out Ryujin in Japanese means dragon god.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, oh, okay. And that inspired me to make, the Dragonborn Ryujin. He's a dragon god, and sort of it's kind of all fate. So that was the only basis for starting the new game. And where I had been out of playing Skyrim for a good couple of months, I think. I wanted to start out a whole new one under no guidelines, just so on my own, and I could just do whatever I want. But I also wanted an overhaul as well, so we would keep it nice and fresh, and sort of everything would be, well, not everything, but the gameplay wise would be a surprise.
Yeah. So, and you tried Requiem first. We haven't had a chance to really talk about that live, except briefly last week during the Inception episode there. And so, but you didn't stick with it. You didn't like it.
No, I didn't give it that much of a chance because I'd like to advance along in sort of like the quest lines and things like that. So I wanted to carry on and do the main quest, but obviously I couldn't do that because I couldn't get past all the enemies.
Yeah.
Because they were higher level. It was the 3 bandits. So I came out and I wandered around. I came out with Rayloff, wandered around a little bit, but went to Whiterun, picked up a spell or two. I was wearing heavy armor, which took me all the way up to I think my weight limit was only 90.
Yeah, it's pretty strict. Yeah.
And with the heavy armor on, my weight limit was what I was just wearing and carrying one weapon, and a couple of other things was 86 or something. So
yeah.
Then I went up to meet those 3 guys at the watchtower, and I could take 2 of them, and it varied which one it was because I tried about 7 or 8 times. It varied which 2 it was, but either the guy with the 2-handed sword would one-shot me, or there was the one who was upstairs come running down, and he had a crossbow.
Yeah, crossbows are, and ranged weapons in general, bows and crossbows are really deadly in Requiem, both ways. I mean, they're fairly deadly from the player out too, but yeah, they'll really wreck you. And yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, I when you mentioned that you were going to try a Requiem play, I decided to resurrect it. I think I mentioned that last week. So I've been experimenting with it a lot, and I'm up to level 5 on my most recent character in Requiem, and it really forces you to change your play style totally, which is kind of cool. I like that, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to get back into Skyrim too. Is I had sort of gone way out of my my normal way of playing. I'd played two sort of nasty, evil, undead characters in a row, and I was getting kind of just sort of dragged down by it. So I wanted something good and bright, and so that's why I created my Varylus Hems character, and he's playing a fairly standard one, basically my sort of basic wide-ranging mod list with Ordinator and a bunch of other stuff. But then I decided to try a Requiem, and I experimented. I actually went through like three characters, two of the same name, and then this most recent one. And it's been interesting. I said, it's not only does it force you to change your play style, it's much slower, especially at the beginning. You really have to just sort of plod along. I think it has a tendency to not force you to grind, but it sort of makes grinding not necessary, but I've watched several sort of videos of people who play Requiem a lot, and they do tend to grind a lot, and I don't like that. So it makes it a lot slower. I know there's one guy I was watching, and he was up to like level 70 or some ridiculous thing before he really even engaged in any quests, by just doing all kinds of things. Like he'd go in and do one, what is the quest for Adrienne, where you bring the sword up to her dad, and so that sets you in good with the Whiterun folk. So then you can just like take all the silver off the tables and shelves and everything. So he runs around and takes all the silver off, and then runs down the or I should say plod, because of the weight limits. So you plod your way down to the forge or whatever, and melt that all down, because Requiem allows you to do that, and make silver, et cetera, et cetera. So I decided I didn't really want to do that. I tried that with one of the characters, and I just sort of didn't like it. It was it was grindy, dull. But one of the things I found, since we both mod a lot, Requiem doesn't play well with other mods, even though there are tons of patches out there. It took me quite a long time to get the mod running, with the patcher and stuff like that. I guess you had a much easier time of it, if I remember correctly, right?
Oh, I had a really extremely light mod list. Apart from Requiem, I think I had was Immersive Hood, Convenient Horses, and I think there was a couple of the Harvest Overhaul mod.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was Pure Waters and Purity.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And that was it. I think that was just about it. That's all I had. And give me a second. I can pull it up here. Oh no, it's locked. I don't want to open up. That'll just mess me up. But yeah, I had a really light mod list. So apart from Requiem was the only one that was doing any game changes. So I didn't have any problems with setting it up, because that was the only thing that was changing everything. So I didn't have to fight with like Combat Overhaul or Revenge of the Enemies, or change the stats on immersive armors and immersive weapons and things like that. So I didn't have any of that to worry about.
But you did run the patcher, right? You ran the Requiem for the Indifferent patcher.
I can't remember. I think so.
Yeah, I think it makes you. It'll load the game, but then you'll sort of get into a certain point.
Oh yes, yeah.
When
you walk into Helgen Keep and it starts making you do all that crap.
Yeah.
It was about 6 times I had to come out, come back in, come out, come back in. I was like, I was like, this better be worth it.
Yeah, I went through and looked at because the first Requiem setup I did had some of the combat overhauls in it and stuff like that, and then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to do any of that, and I took out a bunch of stuff. I left in things like, you know, complete crafting overhaul and a few other things like that, for which there are good active patches for the latest version of Requiem. So I figured that was safe, and for the most part, it has been. But I've had all kinds of weird things and things that have never, with all these mods that I've used so many times for literally years now, and have never had these sorts of issues I've had with the Requiem playthrough, like the brawl bug. Have you ever had brawl bug issues in any of your games?
The only brawl one is sometimes my follower will start hacking away at people.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's it.
I actually had one in this playthrough. I was punching some guy in the face, and it was that tool from Windhelm.
Oh,
and Iron Fist, Iron Fist. That's
God, yes. Yep.
So I'm giving him a beating, as everybody should do in all the playthrough. And I get him to, and I've got the best of him. He hits me, although he's in clothes. I'm in like full heavy armor. Hits me. I hit him. I take a lot more health off of him. I get him down to about a quarter health. Then he starts regenerating health faster than I regenerate stamina.
Wow.
And I'm hitting him as hard as I can. It's perma. Every strike that I'm using, not even just normal punches, uses up stamina. So I'm hitting him as hard as I can. And even though I hit him, his regenerating health is going up. It's not going down.
Wow.
So I don't know what that was about. So I got really annoyed. So I, in the middle of the fight, bumped it all the way down to novice, punched the crap out of him, took the 100 gold off of him, and then when he stood up, I went into the console, clicked on him, and pressed kill. But it turns out he's essential, so he can't actually die. Yeah. So he is now crawling all around Windhelm on his hands and knees.
As he deserves to do.
Yes, because he's.
That's great. I love it. I had issues with. For anybody who's not aware of the brawl bugs in Skyrim, the brawl script is very sensitive, and if you have any, especially stamina buffs, if you have a stamina buff that will regenerate your stamina in the middle of a brawl, the game triggers another script which forces the NPC you're brawling with to think that you have used magic, and then they will draw their weapon and kill you if you're too low level, or they'll just fight, and then the brawl fails. And I've never had that happen before, ever, in any of my games with all these mods, until I started this playthrough with Requiem, and all of a sudden I decided I want to do companions on this one. So, because I've loaded another mod, which is actually really, really good, which is an extension of the companions quest line, and that one, it takes you many, many, many more little fetch quests and things to actually go to the the trials and the inner circle of the companions and all that stuff.
You can't become the Harbinger in 3 days.
Exactly, you cannot. Not even close.
That's just unrealistic.
Yeah, and that's what he is. Yeah, but then so many things are right. But yeah, he's added some really good lines of script, which are spoken silently, of course, but there's new conversation options in all the standard vanilla conversation trees. It's kind of cool. He even wrote in a little explanation for, how I've harped on this so many times over the last couple of years in these podcasts about how I hate that line that Ayala says about, well, we're heroes, if the coin is good enough, and it's like really pisses me off. And so, and he even explains that he has your character ask exactly that question. Well, that sounds kind of stupid. You'll only go someplace and be good if you get paid for it. And there's actually a really good explanation for that. And it goes back to Isgramor and everything. It's very well done. But anyway, I had all these brawl bug issues, and I could not get rid of them. The last night I was literally pulling my hair out. My hair is much shorter than it was yesterday. But I finally got that resolved, and then I started having issues with amazing follower tweaks. I had to sort of excise that from my game. So anyway, not to get boring about it, but Requiem is tough on mods. But I have really enjoyed the actual play of Requiem. It's like I said, it's slower and more deliberate, and you really have to. I've sort of adjusted some of the settings, so in Requiem, if you have a wooden bow and you get attacked by a wolf, the wolf will break your bow instantly. Especially if you're like level 1 through 6 or 7, it's just gone. The bow is gone. And of course, if you're in heavy armor, you can't run away. So it's like you're fucked, basically. You're fucked a lot in Requiem. So he's allowed you to shut that off and stuff. So, but anyway, enough of Requiem. You're playing with Perma, right?
Yes, I'm playing with Perma. Percus Maximus. It's done by the same guy who done Skyrim. And I'm sorry, sir, I've forgotten your name for a minute.
It's like T3NDO, Tendo.
That's it, Tendo, yeah. T3NDO. Yeah. And I really like Percus Maximus. One of the reasons is why I've never played any of the Witcher series, but I've watched I think the first and the second playthroughs on Gopher's channel.
Uh-huh.
And I really enjoyed watching him play through it. I don't think it's a game that I would enjoy myself because I don't particularly like the character. But what Perma has done with some of the perks he's added to the two-handed is it allows you to get into a fight similar to The Witcher. So you have particular moves that you will do. Like when I'm... The perks that I've got now with I've forgotten. It's two-handed, and with the power attacks, you've got obviously the forward powered attack, the sideward powered attacks, and the backwards power attack. So when I'm fighting, I choose which one to use and when to use it, so I can take down my opponent. Like the backwards power attack now. It will once per target, it will strike the target to the ground, excluding giants and dragons and stuff like that. But also, if I hit them with a backwards power attack when they're below 30% health, it will do 300 times damage.
Wow!
So I pick my moments of when to go in, keep them back, keep them sort of where. Like the really tough ones. Lydia can get in there with her shield and sort of like block them off, and I can have my Atronach attack them. And then when I think that they're down low enough, I'll wade in with the big two-handed. I've got a bastard sword at the moment, and I strike them down purposely with a instead of just swinging for the fences. I go in there, pull out their power attack, and then pull back so I could do a backwards power attack. They instantly strike to the ground if they weren't below enough health, so it does the 300 bonus damage. Then they're already lying on the ground anyway. Whereas if I get in there too early and strike them to the ground, then they've got time to get back up and give me a kick in, which it can happen with some of the enemies now.
What level are you?
30 something.
Oh wow.
Give me a second. Get back in the game here. Level 36. I've mainly concentrated on heavy armor, which he's done some great things with, and heavy weaponry, which is two-handed.
Mm-hmm.
You got heavy weaponry, and then you got light weaponry, which is one-handed, and ranged weaponry, which is because you split bows. You've got short bows, which fire arrows really quickly, where things that are close ranged, and then he's also done long bows, which does really powerful shots, but it takes you a long time to fully draw your bow. to strike
Right.
your target.
Yeah, Requiem handles bows similarly. There's a long and short bow, and the draw does make a difference. Um, yeah, I actually I tried Perma when it first came out, and being the sort of ADD gamer that I am, I played it for a little while and then sort of dropped it and ran off to something else shiny, and I never really um, plumbed its depths, I guess. But I did watch some of Gopher's play testing. He never actually finished his testing of
No,
Perma, but I don't know why. Well, actually, I suspect why. But anyway, but yeah, but I watched some of the. Did he do the warrior? I know he did some of the mage trees.
he
They're
did.
huge.
Yeah, he did some of the warrior one. There's one. The heavy armor one is really interesting. I've also done the smithing as well.
Mhm.
And that's where I've chosen because you can have these like mastery and focus perks, which I think focus perks and mastery perks are like in the warrior tree. You can only choose one mastery perk, which is you can either choose the smithing one, the two-handed one, the heavy armor one. Same with the magic one. If you choose one focus or one mastery, it's the only one you can choose. You can't get one from destruction and illusion and alteration. It has just to be one across all the board.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Doesn't Ordinator does something similar to that, doesn't it? With things like alchemy stations and stuff like that. You can pick one and master it or something. I guess.
Yeah, like Michael was talking about his enchanting, where he's going to be able to do like a miracle enchanting.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's going to work for him because he says what he's going to do is he's going to go legendary and then come back up and then take the perk again, so he can do another miracle one after it.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's going to work. I think he's going to
Really?
get there. Yeah, I think he's going to get there, and it's going to go. No, like we said, only once.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. It'll set a bit somewhere, and that'll be that. Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess for me anyway, I'm so poor at analyzing stuff like that and then remembering all those complex moves. I guess maybe that's why I'm responding a little more to Requiem, which is completely the opposite. He simplified the perk trees. They're even more simple than in many ways than the original vanilla game. And so it's easier to remember stuff. So what are you? So are you playing? You're playing the whole game, right? You're basically doing the whole thing with this guy.
Yeah, he's a Breton. I should have got into that. He's Breton. His name's Lee Ryujin, and he is concentrated on smithing, heavy armor, and heavy weaponry. I've got up to 60 in smithing, which at 50 I was able to get up to orcish armor, and I can make orcish stuff. But I went up through the center as well of the smithing tree. Now you can't fix anything unless you have the perk. So unlike Skyrim Vanilla, you can't sort of like pick up an ebony piece of armor, grab a piece of ebony, and smith it up. You have to have the perk to be able to help with that, which is what they do with most perk overhauls.
Yeah, Requiem's the same way, basically. You have to find a book. In fact, you can't even smith at all, really, at the very beginning until you find that first smithing book. And nothing, it's basically the same idea.
Yeah. I did have to take a perk to do meltdowns, and you can only melt down the equipment that you have the perk in. So I can only melt down steel, dwarven, and orcish stuff. I can't melt down sort of like a moonstone because I haven't taken the perk.
That's cool.
But I can, from the very start of whichever one, I can enhance magically enchanted items straight away. So I don't have to take a perk for that.
Yeah, that's really nice because that's really frustrating in vanilla and in fact Skyrim, which is the predecessor, was you had to be like level 60 or something, or at least 40 anyway to do that. Yeah.
But I went up through the center, and in the center you've got the mastery perk. in smithing, which is Warforged, which
Nice.
allows you to reforge any gear into Warforged gear. And Warforged gears has considerably better stats than regular gear, but cannot be enchanted.
Oh, okay.
But while using a Warforged weapon, attacks consume no stamina, apart from power attacks.
Huh.
And while wearing at least 4 pieces of Warforged armor of any material, you gain the perks of each material that you have invested in its perk. So when you invest in the steel smithing perk, you have a better resistance to bows and crossbow bolts.
Huh.
And when you invest in dwarven, you have a better protection against was it the dwarven machinery and farmer.
Okay.
And when you invest in orcish, you do 15% more damage with orcish weapons. And if you have warforged gear, you get all of those perks.
Oh,
So
even no matter what you're wearing?
yes. So what you're doing is you're incorporating all your knowledge that you know of steel, all your knowledge of dwarven, and all your knowledge of orcish, and making it into this one masterpiece of set of armor and set of weapons.
That's really cool. That's a nice.
What I thought was cool, just one thing was that once you get that Warforged stuff, the normal attacks for weapons don't cost any stamina. So I've got to level 36, or whatever it was, or whatever level it was in the 30s, to be able to get Warforged.
Uh-huh.
Get up to how vanilla Skyrim is, where normal attacks cost no stamina, and it was a pain in the ass.
How does that affect your leveling? Does it? I mean, is there any sort of debuff to leveling or anything like that, or is it still sort of increment?
Yeah, just incrementally of hitting people in the face with a big 2-handed weapon, and you know, all the whatchamacallit, the stones, they're all still the same.
Uh-huh. That's right. Yeah, he didn't change it. Well, he does say on the page you can sort of load his original Skyrim stones if you want, and you can add those modules to it to perma, because perma is just a perk overhaul. It's not. I mean, there's some stuff behind the scenes there. So I shouldn't say just, but I mean, it's a pretty huge mod, but it's mostly a perk overhaul, right?
Yeah, it's got added spells and things like that, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I did start up a perma character again just to see if, you know, when you said you were doing it, I wanted to go back and try to go through the process, you know, running the patch, the Skyproc patcher and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, it went pretty well. It's as long as your Java is up to date and you follow the instructions well, it seemed to run without too many hitches. Actually, a little easier than Requiem did. Requiem gave me all kinds of grief. But no, that's really cool. I'd like to. Well, I'd like to think I could go in and learn all that stuff. But
was it? I had a little issue with perma after I'd run the patcher. I found some steel plate armor on a bandit chief, and its armor rating was 17. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. And I didn't want to run the patcher again because I had like 50 mods loaded in, and it can take up to an hour for the patcher to run depending on your load order.
Yeah, it's really slow.
So that was my first foray into I've forgotten the name of it now.
Bash?
No, not Wirebash, the other one.
TS5. Did you go in and manually edit it?
Yeah, I went into.
Good for you. Wow.
I edited, but I didn't make a new edit. I was watching the videos, and what I did was done what everybody tells you not to do. I edited the patch. So the patches matches patch, the what I brings out at the end. What was that? The
Palma.
yeah, the Palma. Where
Yeah.
when that had finished, I went into that and changed what it said the armor rating should be. I had a big warning flashing light saying, "Are you sure? Do you know what you're doing?" No, but I'm doing it anyway. Get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
So I guesstimated what from looking at the boots and looking at similar armors, what their armor rating was, and I guesstimated and I threw an armor rating at it, and then never used it just so it looked right when I picked it up.
Yeah, interesting. I've never actually tried to do that. I've been afraid of getting in and rolling up my sleeves and editing. I mean, I use TS5 Edit for other things, running scripts like Dindalod and sniffing out why the game is crashing, which is a good way to use it. But I've never actually gone and edited anything. It's so good on you. It's your first. You're an expert now, right?
Yeah. An expert at doing things wrong because it was telling me at all steps, don't do this. The guy in the video, don't do this. Never do that. Ever do that. I went, oh, well, that looks real simple and easy to do. But the way I looked at it is that if I wanted to fix the armor, I had to run the patcher. The reason why I was looking at this is so I didn't have to run the patcher again. If it did go all tits up, I just deleted the patch ESP and then run the patcher again, and then
run it again, and you'll be fine. Yeah, as long as it's on a you didn't bake it into a save or something, and you can just delete that save and go back, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth running Rybash, if you're making a bash patch with with perma or not. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've played with it, because that might have taken care of it as well. I think you would do Rybash first and then run the Patches Maximus last.
Yeah, but that's what one of the guys said in one of the videos.
Yeah, because that's what you do with like. You can also do merge patches with. Have you ever done a merge patch with TS5 Edit? That'll take some of the things that Rybash doesn't. I don't think you do that with Palma, but you might. I don't know. It takes some of the other things and gets rid of some of the the other conflicts aside from leveled lists. And because Rybash doesn't, I guess it doesn't do all the leveled lists perfectly or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's like too complex for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 different copies of the same mod all loaded in. I can't be bothered with the bashed patches, so I just have like a big, huge, long load list of mods, and it's all got like Cloaks of Skyrim, sort of like Jonaria save file, Cloaks of Skyrim, Ryujin playthrough, Cloaks of Skyrim, and then something else as well.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing. No, totally. That's really a good. I think that's good practice because if you start messing around with some of that stuff is global in Mod Organizer, so yeah, it's a good idea to do installations, which is one of the reasons why I did so much like deleting of Cruft when I went back to playing Skyrim recently. It was just I had all kinds of stuff like that from past playthroughs, and they were all like out of date, and there were 2 or 3 versions of it. It was just like, oh my god. So I just deleted it all, and put some of those characters into the the Hall of Honor, never to be played again. But at least I still have the save, So. But yeah, that's I think that's pretty good practice. So I just want, I mean, as far as other mods that we're playing with, I've been experimenting with some new stuff. Just to go over it really quickly, there's a mod called Claralux, which is a lighting mod. I don't know if I mentioned it in one of the previous episodes or not. It's I don't know if people are familiar with like this realistic lighting overhaul, or RLO, or ELFX, the enhanced lighting, and NFX and all that stuff. Claralux is it's really good, and so anybody, I would recommend it to anybody to give it a try. It is a fairly scripty mod.
Mm.
Because it it adds timed lights. The lights come on and off, depending on the time of day. It adds a lot of lanterns along the roads. It does not, it would compete with the old mod, the Lanterns of Skyrim mod. Um, but it makes some really nice ambient effects. I took a screenshot of Riverwood the other day that was just really freaking gorgeous with the lighting. Um, and it has some issues. Every once in a while you'll be running along a road or something like that, and as as you're moving along in the world, Claralux is looking at where you are and turning lights on and off at different levels as you move through the world. And every once in a while it'll get out of sync with itself, and you'll get these little big light balls around it. But the mod author has provided some really good tools to get rid of that. You just sort of reset the lighting. It takes about a minute and a half. Just sort of stand there and wait, and it resets itself, and it's fine. So if that's what modding is all about.
Yeah.
It's
if you want that beauty and sort of what you, as you said, that scene you had in Riverwood, if you want that, then it comes with a certain cost, because that's what mods are. You want, because I had the same thing with convenient horses earlier on. Is I was messing around, so I've got Lydia with me, who's been with me pretty much from the start, like level 5 or something like that when I took the dragon at the Watchtower. And I've just recently, I think it was yesterday, got Arnea from the Azura quest. And so I was messing around giving them like their particular horses. So Lydia's got her Palomino horse, who's got a Nordic saddle on it. And then I was messing around with Arnea. She's going to have a grey horse who's going to have an Imperial saddle. So I can tell the difference between their horses and my horse. And then suddenly I came out of my house and all the horses were frozen solid.
Oh no!
And wouldn't move. So what I had to do was I had to go into the mod, because it's on the MCM. Go into the mod, and then all I had to do was turn off. Horses for followers? Turned it off. Their horses disappeared. I saved. I reloaded, and then I turned it back on again. Horses for followers got on my horse, and then they summoned both the horses, and everything was fine. It took like 30 seconds, but if I wanted all of that, so every once in a while, thing just gives you a little kick in the teeth, and you go, all right, don't worry, I'll fix it, and then you carry on moving.
Yeah.
But I'm like level 36, and that's the first time it's happened. So,
yeah, I've had trouble with follower mods this week also with Requiem, and right now I'm having sort of the opposite issue where I had to switch from amazing follower tweaks to EFF again, which is not necessarily for the faint of heart in the middle of a playthrough. But there's certain tools that allow you to do that, and so I pulled all the scripts out of the save and reloaded EFF. But now poor Uthgerd won't get on a horse, so she's running around behind me.
okay.
Yeah, it's really kind of annoying. So I don't know. I have the feeling that my Requiem character is doomed, but it's been fun. But yeah, I know what you mean with Convenient Horses is actually pretty damn stable mod. It's so well done, and stuff. So, so I also tried recently. I forget his name, and he's kind of weird mod name, Inai Saison or something like that. And he or she has released a big weather overhaul, sort of to compete with Purity, which is what I use mostly, which is really, really nicely done. But it's called what's it? It starts with a V. And now I've got Vigor stuck in my head, which is a combat overhaul. Vivid. It's the Vivid Weathers, I think he calls it. And it's pretty good. I'd have to say that I like Purity better. Are you using a weather or anything change? You said you're using water and Purity.
Yeah, I had pure waters, and I put purity in,
Okay.
and I ran with it for the first 10 levels, but then I just kept on. You know those stutters you kept on getting on the horse.
Yeah.
I was getting those constantly, even when I was just running along the road, and
Really?
that's running along the road in heavy armor. So you know how
Wow.
slow that is.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was purity. My computer just couldn't handle it. Nothing wrong with the mod.
Yeah.
My game just couldn't handle it. It was just too
Bummer.
much with all the water and sort of like the waterfalls. Because I noticed it added like a few spectacular sites, like locations you should go and check out on the map.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really wanted to see those, but no, I want to continue with my game, so it just slowed it down too much.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, he added a bunch of statues and waterfalls and stuff. And I don't even, something I've always just sort of stopped and sort of gazed at them because they're really pretty, but I've never actually gone to look at the base of the statues to see if there's any kind of treasure or something there. So, maybe there is, I don't know, but he put in, a lot of those, the I don't know, Falls of Kinnereth or whatever, and stuff, and they're really pretty. And he also put, I believe, torches and sconces near them, so they really light up beautifully at night and stuff. It's really nice. It's a really pretty mod. Hey, listen, I got to take just a quick break, so let's leave it totally silent for so Michael can find this on the recording, and I'll be right back. Okay.
No worries. I'm gonna grab a drink myself.
Okay, sorry about that. I had a chicken in the oven that was going to turn into charcoal if I didn't take it out. So, are you there? Oh, no, you went off too.
Sorry about that. Just getting myself a drink.
Well, yeah, I had to go get a chicken out of the oven, or it would have been a charred chicken. So where else are we? Did you like come up with a complete backstory for your character, or is he just sort of the dude from Britain?
Yeah, he's just a Breton guy. He lost his money, and now he's come to Skyrim to get more money. So there's certain things that he does, like where was it? The Soretti farm. He just got to the Soretti farm as he was making his way across to Result. He get to the Soretti farm, and she's like, "My sister's, a lazy tool, and so I've got so much work, and I really need all these jazzberry grapes." Well, he turn around and went, "Yeah, good luck with that," and carried on his way. Didn't take the question. She's like, "I'm going out pick you some grapes to get like 200-300 gold. I'm going to go off and do something, you know, that's going to make me a ton of gold. It's quite fun. But some of the things that I've been finding in the game because of the mods are really surprising and really good. And most of the time, I have no idea which mod has added it.
I've been experiencing that lately too. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the greatest ones so far was where was I? I was going to I was doing one of the bounty quests for Right One when I first started off. So I was running around, going up to the bar, saying, "You got any jobs?" Getting a bounty quest, go to the nearest bandit camp, clear it out, come back, get the bounty, and clear it out. So I went to the one. It's not Halted Stream Camp. It's the one that's in the bandit camp, but it's also, you know, where you get the Lunar Forge.
Yeah, it's right next door to Halted Stream, basically. Yeah.
It's that one. So I'm running up there, and you got the guys down at the front, a couple of archers and a mage. Then you got some of the guys that are up near the forge, and they come running down the steps. So we took care of those. And then you've got the little place off to the side where you go in to kill. It's not a bandit chief. There's like usually a leveled bandit, like a bandit outlaw or something like that. And he's the guy you got to kill.
Yeah.
So I kill everybody outside. I'm still in heavy armor, but I get in sneak mode just to get in the lay of the land. I come through the door, and all I hear is clash, bang, bang, bang. I'm gonna kill you. This has never happened before. What the hell's going on? I'm turning around to Lydia, and she just shrugs at me. I haven't got a clue what's going on. So then all I hear is the death rattle of someone going, and then the die. I go, let that be a lesson to you. So I'm like, right, what the hell's going on here? So I put on stone flesh, which in perma makes my flesh look like stone.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And oak flesh makes my flesh look like oak. He's added like a texture to it, so you look like you're a piece of wood.
That's really cool, huh?
Yeah, fantastic. So I put on my stone flesh, get my two-handed weapon out, and then 6 Whiterun guards walk up the steps.
Oh, wow.
And start walking past me. And the first one goes past, and he goes, "Morning, Thane," and walks out the door. And the second one carries on. He's going, and he goes, "Don't go to like Shiver Mist Cave. You know, there's something around there. It smells awful bad." Map marker added. Then the next one walks past, and it's just like this ends with conversations as they walk past. "Morning, Thane. Morning. That's awesome. Good morning." And then I went down. All the bandits were dead because they came up cleared because they had killed a bandit, and it was.
So what do you think added? What mod do you think that added that?
Well, the only one I can think of, which I haven't loaded, would be immersive patrols. Oh. And it's not loaded into my game. That's the only one I've ever seen it do something like that, where it has, excuse me. But it was just brilliant.
Yeah, that's like awesome.
The guards going out to clear the local bandits.
That's cool. Yeah, it's funny because I loaded some guard stuff in recently too. I was watching, I think it was one of Bro Duel's little series of mod video series, and they mentioned a couple that I had never done before, and one of them is called Suspicious Guards. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so. No.
It's very cool. So when you have it goes along well with the sort of the classic guard dialogue overhaul, which is the standard thing where the guards don't, they'll treat you a little more realistically, based on your level. But Suspicious Guards. So if you're like a thief character in particular, and you start sneaking around in one of the cities, one of the guards is going to notice you, and he's going to start following you. and he'll you'll sneak around a corner, and you'll look back around, and there's a guard standing there, and all of a sudden he'll run a little closer. and it's trying to run away, and then the guard will pause for a little while, then he'll run after you. It's just awesome. And I guess they have all the guards have a little sphere of influence. So if you run outside the sphere of influence, the guard will sort of lose interest, and then another guard will pick you up, and then they'll start. You look around the corner, and there's a guard hanging out there. It's really cool. So And they won't sort of let go of you until you go out of town and come back in. So it's one of those nice little touches that just makes all the difference. So it's called Suspicious Guards. If anybody's interested, it's very fun.
That sounds it.
Yeah. One of the things that Requiem does, interestingly, in combat is, and I don't know exactly what mechanism he's using, but enemies will go into what would you call it? They'll. What is it when you give up and run away?
When you're surrendering, or
Yeah, but there's some certain stock lines that Bethesda threw in, but they'll run and cover, and so if you're particularly early on in Requiem, when you're fighting against, since it's an unleveled world and you're fighting very often against enemies that are higher level than you have to. I've used more traps and tricks than I've ever done in any of my other games. Like in Embershard Mine, for instance, it's always the same when you go in there. There's two guys, at the first bridge, and then when you lower the drawbridge, there's two more that run out, and then blah blah blah. So in Requiem, I ran in there, and there's a stone trap. So I run in there and then aggro them, and then back up a little bit just before the trip line there, wait for them to run just up to me, and I trip the line and bury them in rocks. It's stuff I've never done before. But if you manage to get into some combat with one of these enemies and you hit them just right, they'll cower and run away. If you get their health down to a certain level, they'll start to run away, which is kind of cool. So it's a way to try to game the game a little bit, and because at the beginning in Requiem, everything's higher level. You basically just get wrecked constantly. It can be really frustrating. So using any of those little mechanisms to try to make it work helps a lot. So yeah, so that's trying to play with that a little bit, see if I can make them run away. So, but anyway, well, that's have you got more to add?
Oh, I got plenty more to add. I just can't remember.
Add away.
I can't remember any of it. It's kind of like.
Well, did I mention Honed Metal? I think that's another mod I've used recently, which is another cool, really excellent little add-in. I think I mentioned it once before, but I'll sort of re-mention it just briefly, where you can go to any smith and order items, or particularly you can have the smith hone or make your armor better or make your weapons better. It costs extra money based on the level of the smith. Like if you go to Yorlin Greymane, I think you get better, and it costs you more. But it's a really great idea. It's a wonderful way of getting better armor and weapons if you don't want to work your way through the smithing tree.
Yeah.
So there are still restrictions, I believe, on what you can. You have to sort of gather, obviously, as you level up in the game and you start getting better loot, better armor. You can take an ebony piece to somebody like Yorland, or Yorland. I don't think will do ebony. You have to find the right smith for the right material, and it can cost a fair amount of money. But it's a really great idea. It's a really cool mod. And so I've thrown that into Requiem to try to sort of I feel kind of ambivalent about this. Requiem is such a huge overhaul that by rights you should just play it alone like you did, but I can't help myself. So I took away all the. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said it's like you're addicted.
Yeah, I've kind of I just can't help tweaking it a little bit. So But Hone Metal is really cool. It's definitely worth playing with. So, well, I don't know. We've been about an hour now, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I was just wondering if something came to me. Is that have you been playing with elemental dragons? Have you opened up dragons at all in any playthrough?
I threw elemental dragons in a couple of times, but I've been having so many ups and downs with other stuff that, and particularly in Requiem, where I have no confidence at all that if I put elemental dragons in there and triggered the dragons, that I would basically not be able to survive in Skyrim at all.
Yeah.
So I'm going to save that for. I'm going to save elemental dragons for another playthrough. I'm wondering how it will add in. I think I may try adding it into my the guy that I've been really sort of doing the same kind of playthrough that you're doing with your Breton character. He's this is my Varolus Hems, my Imperial trader merchant guy who's using all the Thunderchild mod and bunch. He's doing the Dragonborn quest. So I'm thinking maybe I will add the elemental dragons into that game, because that's where he's pretty powerful, and I'm really enjoying just playing the game with him and just going through. It's the other ones like Requiem and Perma and stuff like that I'm just sort of tinkering with the game more than actually playing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I had a couple of fights with a couple of dragons, and some of them got a little bit. It's fighting what was it Perma does to me, the how it makes it harder, and fighting what elemental dragons has changed about the dragon fights, because there's one mechanic that a few of the dragons have, which it'll instantly summon an area of effect spell that happens to always land exactly where you're standing.
gee, what a coincidence.
Yeah. So it's not that it's like, they'll shoot out. Obviously, they'll shoot out breath if you're standing right in front of them. They can shoot it down from the sky in your general direction. And then they have other area of effect spells that, like, there's some that affect the weather. So you get, like, seriously bad rain.
Really? Wow.
You get rocks that fall from the sky and all these other different things. But a few of them have the mechanic where this thing, it will summon sort of like an AoE exactly where you're standing. And it doesn't matter where you're standing, whether you're hiding or whether you're out in the open, it doesn't matter. It will instantly land where you are, not where any of your followers are. And I had it on one of my other characters. I think it was the Round Table character. And because he was in robes, there was absolutely no possible way for him to survive that fight.
Huh.
Because he was in robes, he had no armor. So the minute it hit, it done so much damage that it just killed him instantly.
Wow.
So I thought with this guy it'd be a little bit easier, but I was fighting in a blizzard, which with perma it slows me down by 15%. I'm already slowed down because of heavy armor, and even more slowed down because perma makes it even worse because it should be tougher. So
what are the things that, outside of the perks? What does perma do to the game? You're saying that it changes how, like, you use stamina use, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
What are the things that perma does like that? Because that's interesting. I was not aware that it extended that far into the mechanics of the game.
Yeah. So was it? It's added a few new spells, but the only ones I can really tell you about is what should we call it? When I was trying to run in a blizzard, it slows you down by 15%. Your movement speed by 15%. And other game changes wise,
Does it do combat changes like Revenge of the Enemies does, or anything like that, or does it, or not?
I have Revenge of the Enemies running, so I wouldn't know
All right.
which would do either way. Was it that I noticed that magic is doing serious damage to me. I've now got to the point where I'm up in heavy armor where I can take a beating from a Briarheart. I took a few good power strikes from a Briarheart who was dual wielding, and I still had some.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I took a few power attacks from a Briarheart that was using dual wield, and I still had some health left to run away and scream for Lydia.
Save me, save me.
Yeah, that was exactly it. And sort of like, doing, and was it the healing spells are really, really curtailed. They hardly do anything.
That's right, and it's over time, doesn't it? The potions heal over time rather than instantly.
Yeah, you have to go into alchemy perks, which I was thinking of investing in, but you have to invest in them if you want decent potions. If not, you use a crap ton, and I have used a crap ton. Thank you, Harvest Overhaul.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's actually that. Requiem does similar things as you know with healing. You don't heal at all over time. You have to use potions, and I haven't even tried using restoration magic yet, but I think that's severely curtailed as well. Yeah, but yes, the Harvest Overhaul and some of the other little mods like that really make a huge difference when you have to work under those constraints. Yeah, Elemental Dragons is something I would love to try, but I'll be sort of hiding in caves and cowering.
You will. You have to. I have been. I've been. Was I think one of the fights where I kept on dying so often took me like an hour to try and kill this one dragon. Wow. He was just a real pain. Some of it was, I was prepared. I was ready to go for a fight, but as I said, I was fighting the weather as well.
Wow. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted.
No, it was just that sometimes where the like perma what that was doing to me and what the elementals where they were fighting against me, I was basically on the back foot the entire fight, and the two together kind of wouldn't let me fight.
Huh.
And there was an effect as well that made me disarm my weapon, so my bow kept on falling on the floor. And I have just lost my bloody Warforged, or was it Orcish bow?
Oh,
and I'm not happy about it. I was fighting an Iron Dragon, and he made me disarm, and then I continued with the fight. I was going to pick the bow back up later, but I can't find it. It was out in the middle of the brush, so it's somewhere, and I'll never find it again. So I have to make another one.
So is it like are they using the disarm shout then? Is that what it is? Or is there some other kind of debuff?
Yeah, it's the area of effect spells that they're flying around, because he summons mini tornadoes to hit you.
Oh God!
And it's mini tornadoes of like little bits of iron and rock.
So, yeah. Isn't there an invisible dragon too in Elemental Dragons? Isn't there one that's invisible?
There was a Spriggan dragon that could make himself invisible.
Oh, okay. But does it still have the shimmer effect, or is it totally invisible?
It had he has the like the Spriggans have the taproot heart which kind of shines.
Yeah.
He had that.
Oh, okay. Wow. Maybe I'll just once I load Elemental Dragons, I'll drop my difficulty back down from Master to Adept or something like that and see if I can survive.
I was thinking so hard about that, but I'm one of those ones where it says we've put Legendary on. Oh, all right. So it's kind of like a personal question to me and go, hey, you can't do this.
Yeah.
All right. And then I roll my sleeves up and get in. But I'm only playing on Master. I'm not playing on Legendary.
Yeah.
I walked into some place and it started giving me a proper kicking. And this was about a level 6 or 7. And then I was like, what the hell's going on? Even with all these, it can't be this. And then I realized I was still on Legendary from the last playthrough.
Oh, yeah.
Crap. Yeah, drop that down, please. So I dropped it down to Master.
Yeah. Yeah, I dropped my Requiem playthrough down to Adept because it was just impossible on Master, at least for me anyway. But
Yeah, I did the same. I dropped it down, and I couldn't get past those 3 guys.
Yeah.
It was a pain.
Yeah. And I didn't want to destroy my poor headphones anymore by rage quitting, so they've already suffered a little bit from that. Luckily, they have magnetic pop-off sides, so when they get tossed, they sort of come apart naturally.
They dismantled themselves. And
yes, and they're easily reassembled. Yeah, they're easily reassemblable. They are rage quit aware. Well, cool. Well, shall we call that an episode then?
Well, I think we can. I don't know whether anybody else will, but we'll call it.
That's up to them. Yeah, yeah, totally. Well, it was good. I'm glad we did this. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for listening. And now I'll just sort of send it back to. We will say ta-ta. For now, and send it back to Michael. So here I'm going to stop the broadcast.